Hello everyone, my name is Kim Marie and I'm with the Evolutionary Astrology Network, and I'd like to talk to you today about some of the exciting trends we have coming up in 2014 on planet Earth. First of all though, I would like to thank Tom and everyone at New Paradigm Astrology for inviting me to share some of my thoughts with you today. I've been an evolutionary astrologer for about 30 years, and I love to teach astrology, and I like to look at all of the trends. I love forecasting astrology. And so many astrologers have been waiting a long time for 2014 because of this Cardinal Grand Cross that we have happening in the sky. First of all, though, a little background on that Cardinal Grand Cross. The biggest base notes are the Uranus-Pluto squares that have been going on 2012 through 2015, and they're taking place between about 8 and 16 degrees of Uranus in Aries and Pluto in Capricorn. And they really are the base notes about what's happening with many of us. We only have to look around and look at some of the countries in the world and all of the civil unrest that we have going on. We can look here in the United States and look at how so many social issues are bursting out, gender issues in the last few years. Look at the changes there. Look at the changes we see in a social issue like medical marijuana. Look at the NSA and all of the spying that's going on. Uranus and Pluto are two big, shake it up planets. They really are the movers and shakers that we have going on. But Pluto in Capricorn doesn't want to let go of the control. And one of the things I've been saying about Pluto in Capricorn is astrology is always understood through its polarity. But the opposite of Capricorn is Cancer. Cancer is community, it's family, it's grassroots. And so a lot of the changes on planet Earth are not going to come from the top down. Plutocrats are not going to want to let go of the power in any area. So it's going to take grassroots movements, no matter what the issue is. One of my personal favorites is financial astrology. And I'd like to recommend that if you want to be a part of your own prosperity on planet Earth, there's a woman I just love. I have followed her before Pluto went into Capricorn. Her name is Ellen Brown, and she's got a website called webofdebt.com. She's got a book by the same name, and she just came out with a new book called The Public Banking Solution. So you can go to her website, webofdebt.com, and go check that book out, because for here in the United States, this is where I think one of the financial grassroots movements is going to take place. The rest of this decade, it's going to continue on into the beginning of the next decade, because we here in the United States, and I thank all the international listeners for allowing me to share the U.S. as an example, we here in the United States, we haven't had our first Pluto return yet. Pluto's 248 years to go around the chart. So we are looking at the early 2020s of having that great death and rebirth destroyer take everything out that doesn't work anymore and bring in the new Pluto Cap. It is going to be quite an interesting next decade from 2014 on, looking at all of this. So we still have a lot of financial shakeups to come up, because most countries on planet Earth have private central banking systems. In other words, the private banking interests loan the government money that must be paid off with interest on the backs of the public. How do you think we come up with these federal debts? We don't have to have them. And that's going to be one of those things that Pluto in Capricorn as a big base note is really going to bring out for the masses, not just in the United States, but in many countries that do have private central banking systems. It's a history of the United States. It's a financial history as much as a religious history in our country. Now, there's a very good example of this grassroots movement in the state of North Dakota, which does business as the Bank of North Dakota. 700,000 people. That little state is sitting on 1.3 billion in cash. And it's not just the oil. I'm from South Dakota. That's my next door neighbor, and South Dakota and North Dakota's charts are the same. So I have studied this issue from the perspective of the astrological charts, and North Dakota is a shining example. So that's just one of the trends that I really see coming up. And as you know, Uranus in Aries is a first quarter square to Pluto in Capricorn, and we've got 7 of these squares. We've just had the first 4. We have 3 more to go throughout the rest of 14 and 2015. And so, this Uranus waxing square to Aries is not only bringing out all kinds of new technology, it's bringing out new ideas. It is the masses. It is the social groups coming out, whether it is Arab Spring or the things that we have going on with the Olympics in Sochi right now with all the unrest. It doesn't matter what country you look at. There are going to be groups of people in which there is social unrest, civil unrest, financial unrest, gender unrest. That is one of the bottom line trends that we see going on right now all across the planet. So back to this Cardinal Grand Cross in the first half of 2014. What we also have going on is Jupiter has been in Cancer from June 2013 to July 2014. And Jupiter in Cancer has been making these 3 oppositions to Pluto in Capricorn. And so Jupiter is our conscious beliefs. It's that intuition. And Jupiter in Cancer is always looking for, how do I feel better? How do I understand anything from the sense of my emotional body? But Jupiter in Cancer is also activating that grassroots, that community. It is going, wait a minute, Pluto in Cap. Wait a minute, everybody who has everything. And most of us, probably most of you listening to this, you're probably not going to be one of those financial elites. Do you know that there are 84 people at the top of the financial chain in the world that own as much wealth as the bottom half, the bottom 3.5 billion? Now there is a Jupiter in Cancer fact, not let alone idea, that, think about what that does in your gut when you think that 84 people own as much wealth as the bottom half. That's the kind of ideas that Jupiter in Cancer is waking us up to with Pluto in Cap. And you know what? You look in history, you look at any movements, be they religious, financial, social, whatever they are, they've always been groups of people saying, no more. I invite you to be a part of learning how financial policies really work, no matter what country you may be watching this video from. You do have the power, you have the smarts, you have the intuition. With this Jupiter-Pluto opposition, you've got everything within you to be a part of spreading the word and changing financial systems so they are more equitable for every human being on planet Earth. Now, the other part of that Grand Cross is Mars in Libra. Mars went into Libra, I think it was in December, and Mars, when it does a retrograde cycle, it's a 2-year cycle of our conscious desires and actions. And when Mars does a retrograde, it can end up in one sign of the zodiac for about 7-8 months. We have Mars in Libra for 8 months. It is in the opposite sign, Libra, of its natural rulership, Aries. And so this is a very interesting combination for Mars. I happen to have natal Mars in Libra myself, so I've been studying this one for a while. But Mars in Libra, it is a planetary energy that can sometimes be analysis paralysis. We spend so much time thinking about what to do. We don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I got to make sure that I'm going to do the right thing. It's the opposite of all of that Aries initiative. And as we go through this Mars retrograde in Libra from March 1st to I think May 19th, somewhere around there, 2.5 months Mars is retrograde. This is really going to be that energy of, oh my gosh, what do I do? A Mars retrograde typically is a time period to slow down and work with conscious actions. And so Mars retrograde in Libra is going to be all about having the insecurity about what do I do. And this particular Mars retrograde in Libra, it really is about moving forward and motivating us into action and taking those steps again and again and again and again until we get something right. And Mars in Libra is going to be part of this grand cross, and its opposite, Uranus in Aries. So talk about stirring it up. Take the action so that the universe doesn't have to act for you to push you forward. So this Mars retrograde in Libra is about taking action. And again, you don't get it right the first time. You've got 3 chances with any Mars aspects to your chart to do it again, do it again, do it again, and you're going to be slowly but surely moving forward. That's the excitability about this grand cross and the cardinal signs we have going on. It is about moving forward. And cardinal energy, that's Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn. Cardinal energy is really insecure archetypes. Oh my gosh, I have to do something I've never done before. I have to go in a direction I've never tried. It brings up all this insecurity. And so one of the things about the cardinal archetype is 2 steps forward, 1 step back. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. In other words, we're moving forward till we reach that insecurity. Then we go back to the past, or we go back to what we know. We feel secure, but we get bored. It's been there, done that. This doesn't serve me anymore. And so off we go again into the future. And this is how we are meant to be moving throughout the first 6 months of this year, and even into all of 2014 with all of this excitability of the Grand Cross. So all of you on some personal level, be it yourself or your relationships, Aries, Libra, be it the home or the career, Cancer, Capricorn, all of you have many areas of your life that are all stirred up. And you don't even have to look at the astrology. Just reflect upon your own life and what are the experiences that you're in the midst of right now. And you're going to know those areas that you need to be moving forward. And the cardinal signs, we don't know where we're going to be going. Aries just goes off and does it. Libra's got to think about it, talk about it, ponder it, do all of this stuff. Cancer, Cancer is the symbol of the crab. It's got to, okay, I'll move forward when it feels good. Well, Cancer won't ever do anything then, and then it's going to be busted out of all of its shell and all of its securities. Good old Capricorn, I got the plan here. Let me tell you how we're going to do it, all right? But everybody else goes, oh, no, wait a minute. I don't want to do it that way. So regardless of how these 4 cardinal archetypes operate, it's just movement. Move. Try it. If it doesn't work out, you got a whole Mars retrograde to try it a different way. Just make sure that you are making the effort to move yourself forward. And that will lessen the cataclysms in which it feels like the universe is coming at you and forcing you to go forward with things. Just make the little efforts. Whatever your Jupiter and Cancer gut is telling you to do. Whatever Pluto and Cap containers, old paradigms aren't working, you just know you want to do it differently. Whatever Mars and Uranus are just really having the nervous system feeling a little anxiety over, and can't sleep at night. Everything's going on in my life. I just don't know which direction I want to go. One of the things about Uranus is the individuated unconsciousness, every soul. Uranus is the archetype where we're trying to break free from the past and become uniquely who we are. So that individuated unconsciousness contains past in all its detail, where we go with past life regressions, hypnotherapy, contains everything we want to suppress in the present via Saturn that we don't want to look at, but it also contains the blueprints of the future. So Uranus, at any moment, no matter what sign or house it's moving through, it's going to be giving us those flashes, those lightning bolts traditional astrology talks about. It's going to be giving us those intuitive hits about how we need to move forward. Now, most of the time, it is very radical from the status quo of our life. And so we don't always have that Aryan courage to move forward. If you are getting intuitive flashes that you need to quit your job, that you need to walk away from XYZ relationship, that you need to stand up to your parents in some way, or you need to cut the kid off financially, whatever it is, and if you keep getting those intuitive hits, pay attention and make the baby steps in those directions, however tiny they are, because it really will lessen Uranus coming along with all the shock and trauma dramas that are going on. Make Mars help you move forward. All right, I'm focusing a lot on this Cardinal Grand Cross. Just a couple little more details. One of the other things that we have going on also throughout the first 6 months of this year, of which Jupiter is the common denominator, Jupiter in Cancer, as it finishes up its retrograde and goes through the last 2/3 of Cancer. Jupiter is still within orb of a grand trine to Saturn in Scorpio and Chiron in Pisces. And that is the emotional triune, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. So that's going to be where you can touch base with Jupiter in Cancer and consciously work with your own intuition. Work with these emotions that you have going on. One of the sad things about human conditioning over the last 8,000 years is we've lost touch with natural law, natural spiritual principles. And those are always found in nature, and they always come from the senses, our own intuitive, gut, instinctive feelings. Your gut's never going to do you wrong. The hair on your neck standing up is never going to do you wrong. That is your natural guidance system. So through the chaos of this Grand Cross, we have this Grand Trine in water going on. And we call it the Garden of Eden myth in religion. But that is that separation of spirit and flesh, that we can somehow pray ourselves perfect and just deny the body. Well, how well's that working out for you? Don't work out very well for any of us. There's this little saying in evolutionary astrology: evolution takes place through the emotional body. It takes place through the senses. We have to walk it and talk it. And so you can really be touching base with your own internal guidance system on an emotional level. And that's what's going to help you through the chaos of the Cardinal Grand Cross that we have going on. So it's taking those walks in nature. It's getting outdoors in nature. It's finding that quiet meditation time in nature. And if you can't get outside, like, I got snow outside again right now. It's been one of those winters for us up here in the northern plains, where we've had snow on the ground almost the whole time. So then it's just finding that quiet time with yourself, where you can just really close your eyes, get in touch. How do I feel? How do I feel about my world? How do I feel about my life and what's going on? And what are the changes that I need to make in my world? Everything you need to know is inside you. I have a great Louise Hay quote. Many of you know who she is. I have said this quote for 25, 30 years. Before, well, probably about the same time I found astrology. Everything I need to know is revealed to me. And everything I need and desire comes to me in my highest and best time-space sequence. You've got it all right there inside of you. Take your power back and become everything that you can be with this Cardinal Grand Cross. So again, I'd like to thank Tom and everybody at New Paradigm Astrology for inviting me to share a few thoughts with you. My name is Kim Marie, and I am with the Evolutionary Astrology Network. You can find us at evolutionaryastrology.net. We do a free weekly podcast. I've been teaching students astrology for, I think I taught my first class in 1987. I'm dating myself here. If you sign up for our newsletter, we will send you our free webinar on our 2014 forecast. A little more detail of what I just shared with you now. And if you like EAN on Facebook, we will gift you with a recent webinar we did on the archetype of Lucifer, which in evolutionary astrology represents the separating and returning forces in the universe, which is a fascinating subject to study and really observe how each of us have our own weakest emotional links and how each of us can be undermined on our path home, and how we can take that weak link and turn it into a strength. So again, check out our website, and thank you for listening to me, and I wish all of you the most fantastic year in 2014. It really is an exciting year, and there are a lot of exciting changes taking place on planet Earth. Be a part of it. Thank you.